In 2005, the first live-action Batman movie of the new millennium was released, and it largely subverted the expectations of audiences around the globe. Although darkness and realism had an established presence in the superhero genre, most superhero movies were made with children as the main audience in mind, and they either went for something very comical or entirely cartoonish and camp. And that's not to say it's a bad thing. Batman Begins dealt with darkness, grit, mature concepts, and realism to the degree other titles at the time just hadn't. And it goes beyond the simple grounding scene in the movie, often revered as its and the eventual trilogy's creative cornerstone. Batman Begins tells the tale of a Bruce Wayne that is still coming to terms with his loss and has not yet taken on the iconic cowl. We see him train, define his moral code, and return to Gotham to defeat the mob that has plagued its citizens for decades. He does justice to the Batman mythology and ends with him victorious, ready to continue his journey into becoming the Batman we know so well. A few years after Batman Begins hit the big screen, the long-anticipated sequel was finally released in 2008. Well, long-anticipated to those who watched the first film anyway. The ending of the previous movie sets up the sequel perfectly. The big player, Carmine Falcone, has been taken down and the rest of the mob members are clamoring to fill the power void and deal with the new bat-like threat that has the remaining mobsters in its sights. Bruce Wayne is back in Gotham full-time. His childhood friend and love interest, Rachel Dawes, is still around to make Bruce reconsider being Batman at all. District Attorney Harvey Man of the People Dent, who is both working with Batman and in a relationship with Rachel Dawes, adds some love triangle complexities to an already exciting storyline. And that's the plot of The Dark Knight. Wait, it feels like I'm forgetting something. No. Oh, hang on a second. How could I forget? To throw everything into chaos, the Joker shows up. And apologies for the laughing introduction.
I thought my jokes were bad.
The Joker enters this story pretty much at the end of the last film, with a tasty tease that the one and only Joker exists in this new reimagined Batman universe. People were going crazy to see what he was like. The controversy surrounding the film, Morgan Freeman's car accident, Christian Bale's domestic issues, and of course Heath Ledger's unintentional passing prior to the film's release, got the feature a lot of attention that, at least partly, led to its success. Audience went to see the movie for the sheer spectacle. After all that people had heard in the news, the question was making this movie all worth it? And boy was it. The Dark Knight surpassed the real-world news about the cast and crew and became a movie to be recognized as the superhero flick that redefined what could be done with that which was previously considered a genre made exclusively for kids and families. The complex concepts, the reimagining of classic characters as symbolic metaphors, and the grounded setting may not have been responsible for the movie's success at the box office, but they solidified the movie's place in cultural relevance for decades to come. The Dark Knight reshaped the landscape of storytelling through film. And not just that, it showed the potential of a genre that had largely been ignored as artistic or relevant. It was a major milestone in ushering the dominance of superhero films at the cinema and made every studio exec take a look at some comic books and see what they were all about. Chris's Nolan and Bale gave it their all in bringing the Batman to life. Previous Batman titles, along with every other superhero movie, always felt more akin to a pantomime than a film which could be critically engaging. But the most interesting thing about The Dark Knight is the name. It's the first Batman movie not to have the word Batman in it. Nolan decided early on that the title would be The Dark Knight because it was a clever way to make a Batman film without using the word Batman. That's not a very good reason, to be honest, but was pretty ingenious considering that the movie heavily revolves around names, aliases, and the power of titling an idea. This isn't just a movie about Batman, it's a movie about the Dark Knight and how he came to be. Now I know the two are practically one and the same, however, the film constructs the narrative of Batman becoming the Dark Knight. Bruce Wayne gave himself the title of Batman.
I'm Batman.
The Dark Knight is a title thrust upon him, given to him by those who know of his sacrifice and true reputation as a hero, willing to destroy a name held in good faith for the better of all who dared to hope. Dramatic, maybe, but true. It's here we see the dichotomy of the Batman and the Joker come into play. Both characters have very much in common, despite being idealistic opposites. They are both anonymous to the public, known only by their aliases. They both use this anonymity to represent ideas they hold most dear, chaos and order. They don't know anything about each other, making their clash almost completely objective towards the ideals they represent. They are two sides of the same two-faced coin. This is what makes The Dark Knight so apt at getting both characters right. The Joker is historically and deliberately anonymous in the comics because that's precisely what makes him terrifying. In the same way that swimming in the deepest ocean is terrifying because you can't be sure what's beneath the surface. When looking at Heath Ledger's Joker, there's a constant wondering. What made you like that? What happened to you that was so bad you turned into something so far gone? That's the devastating beauty of the Joker. The unknown laying in place, quietly setting an unnerving fear and dread. The Joker is as scary to the common people as Batman is to the criminals he preys on. This makes him a perfect villain for a character that also relies on anonymity to act. Someone standing open and smiling instead of lurking in the shadows and still able to go completely unidentified is a new kind of scary. The themes of terrorism and escalation, coupled with morality and ethics, also create a dichotomy that reflects the two main characters and their surrounding people. The Joker is a terrorist, using terror more so than horror or fright to manipulate his way through every situation he designs. No one is more affected by this than Harvey Dent, whose character arc bookends the film's story and themes. As the seemingly unbreakable White Knight we see at the start, the Joker deliberately targets him to make him an example of how easily those so-called immovable morals can be broken. Dent acts as a middle ground of sorts to Batman and the Joker, showing a grey area that can tip either way when enough pressure is applied. This idea of the Joker putting someone through so much pain that they go insane is taken from the comics and is noticeable in The Killing Joke by Alan Moore, where he attempts to drive Jim Gordon insane by also going after someone Gordon cares about and leaving him as a helpless bystander. Cruel, calculating and clinical in his actions, the Joker is one thing more than anything else. He is a liar.
My father was a drinker. So I had a wife. Beautiful. And one night...
The Joker always lies. He lies about everything. Everything from who he's really going after to how he came to get his scars. He pathologically avoids the truth, but remains understandable because he does it so intentionally in an effort to prove his point. That everyone is a selfish liar. The only difference is that he knows when he's lying, and that others instead choose to believe the lies they tell themselves. Batman, embodying control and order, is simply a fallacy. A foundation built on sand, destined to crumble. The Joker even goes so far as to lie to the audience, completely trusting that we will believe what he says about himself because he expects us to take things at first glance.
Do you want to know why I use a knife? Guns are too quick. Can't savor all the little emotion. You see, in their last moments, people show you who they really are.
To benignly believe in a falsehood only because it makes sense to be true. But this isn't a movie about the Joker. It's not a film about villains. It's about heroes. When the Joker deforms Harvey Dent into Two-Face, he proves to Batman that he's right. The scheming and planning the Joker does in the film reflect that of those who try and keep Gotham City in order and at peace. By being the agent of chaos, he creates a new expectation in the people of Gotham and shows the lunacy of trusting a vigilante with their safety. As much as the people expect Batman to swoop in and save them, they now also expect the Joker to come in and incite chaos. Each of the Joker's threats is followed through upon, and even when he loses, he still wins. Because the Joker isn't after anything specific other than the collapse of civilized society, he is always at an advantage, able to move the goalposts at his will and upset the established order. Even killing him would only serve to prove him right. During the moment Batman attempts to show the Joker he's wrong when the people on the two ferries don't blow each other or themselves up in the final moments of the film, he's actually failed in his conclusion. The Joker already won the argument when he destroyed the ethical integrity of Harvey Dent, sending him spiraling on a vengeful killing spree. Choosing to go for the personal victory instead of the big spectacle is another one of the Joker's ingenious diversions. This is a pivotal moment where we see the conviction in the Joker's resolve and his masterclass lying capabilities. For the majority of the film, we were led to believe that the Joker was trying to win over the soul of Gotham City by convincing its people. In actuality, that was only another misdirection, as with a magic trick. His true goal wasn't to break the people of Gotham, but to break its most upstanding citizens who were the foundation of belief for everyone else, the Batman and Harvey Dent. The Joker pulled one over the bat once more, diminishing all his physical power yet again by simply tweaking the circumstances and letting things passively play out. Batman, in distress and well after the Joker is caught, goes on to try and reason with Harvey Dent as he threatens Gordon's family, following a similar attempt to convert Gordon to madness by killing his family and leaving Gordon now as an innocent bystander. When it's clear that Harvey isn't going to stop and redeem himself, Batman realizes the truth. The Joker was right. Seeing what he's seen, the noblest character in the entire film brought to the desperate and degraded level of a criminal. Batman knows that order is an illusion and that chaos is inevitable. With an immutable and unwavering conviction in good and what is right, Batman makes a choice. Here's a question. Are people naturally selfish? Do we all go on with only our own interests at heart? Even when we do something kind or charitable, is it mainly in service of making ourselves feel better about who we are? Are acts of pure selflessness really impossible? Would anyone do anything for anyone else if it did not make that person feel good about themselves? This is the point the Joker drives home, that we are all ultimately self-seeking and self-willed. That even Batman only does what he does to quell his own urges at the end of the day. Batman wanting to make his city a better place is simply a symptom and side effect of what he's really doing. As such, Batman has been lying to himself and everyone around him. It's hard to think about and believe it is not the truth. But sometimes, the truth isn't good enough. Sometimes we have to believe in something more. Because what would be the point of knowing that and carrying on with life? Living with the knowledge and belief that every act towards us is selfish and that we are self-centered in all the acts we do. It's an uncomfortable and sad thought, unacceptable at the best of times, to heroes both real and fictional. Batman chooses to lie. He lies about Harvey Dent, the only one brave enough to go by his real name. The only one who truly inspired hope. He chooses to lie about his part in all of it, to be the villain of the tale and do the truly selfless thing. Give the people the hope they need and be the hero they deserve. Someone who isn't a hero at all.
He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight.